I welcome you into our home, and we're going to make marinara sauce together now. The ingredients you will need are yellow onion, fresh garlic, a heavy bottom sauce pot, tomato paste, stewed tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, and your regular run-of-the-mill store brand tomato sauce. It's not really sauce. Extra virgin olive oil, and I like to mix it with vegetable oil for smoke point purposes so it doesn't catch fire. First thing you're going to want to do is dice your onions and get everything ready. Ready and in place, also known as mise en place, is what we call in the industry having everything ready to make what you're going to make. It's a French term. So, to begin cutting your onions, you're going to want to bisect it in half, going from pole to pole. Imagine it like a globe, like it's to Earth. You want to cut all the way from the North Pole to the South Pole, all the way through. And then you're going to cut off the stem end and keep the root end. See how the root end is cut in half now? This is the easiest way to make uniform cuts that are very consistent and similar in size. And it makes cooking a lot easier. You're going to take your skin off all the way back to the root. Peel it back. And that way you have a nice skinless bisected onion ready to dice. So to set the dice, we're going to start by going right up the middle, and then we're going to angle the knife slightly inward as we go down the side of the onion. That way, they're all pointed toward the core of the onion. At this point, we're going to start making dices. Always keep your knuckles flat against the blade so you don't hurt yourself. And you're going to run the knife down your knuckles as you keep the onion still with your pointers, and then you have uniformly cut onion. Once you have all your onion cut, and for this purpose, since I'm going to be doing in a 5-liter sauce pot, I'm doing 2 small onions because they're rather small. Next, we're going to move on to the garlic. You take your entire garlic clove bulb and you place it root side down on your cutting surface. Smash it really hard with the palm of your hand and it'll open her up. And for demonstration purposes, we're going to cut 1 clove, and I'm going to show you the easiest way to do that. Oh, it flew right out of the skin all on its own. Best way to do that, you cut the little nub off the end, the discolored root part, and then you just take your garlic bulb and your knife flat against the top of the garlic clove, slam it down on the knife. Don't be afraid to slam it hard. Then you're just going to do some fine dicing, and you have a minced garlic clove a lot faster than if you had actually cut the entire thing. If you do happen to come across a garlic clove out of the bulb that wants to keep its skin on when you take it out of the rest of its friends, it's really easy to get rid of. You just cut off the hard end, like so. Place your blade flat against the top of the clove and just lightly bang on it with your fist, like so. And it should split the skin enough so you can just pinch the other end and it slides right out, and no more waste. Heated sauce pot, we're going to add a combination of extra virgin olive oil and vegetable oil, and roughly about 2 tablespoons of each. And then you're going to add your onions. Traditionally, I always want to use a wooden spoon. It has something to do with the scraping of metal on metal adds to the acidity of the final product, and it doesn't taste very good. You want to break up all your onion pieces to have uniform chunks in the pot. And you want to saute your onions for roughly about 4 to 5 minutes before adding your garlic, because it takes a lot longer for the onion to cook than the minced garlic. And you're going to impart as much flavor as you can out of the onions while they're sauteing in your oil before you even add the garlic. And it's going to come out delicious at the end. Alright, now that we've got our onions sauteed for about 4 or 5 minutes, they're starting to soften up and get translucent. We're going to add our minced garlic all at once. Stir it around right away. And you're going to let that cook for about another 2 minutes or so, stirring frequently until the air becomes fragrant with the mixture of garlic and onion. Okay, we've added our garlic, sauteed it for about 2 minutes. Now we're going to start adding our tomato products. First thing you want to add is the tomato paste. This helps to thicken the sauce and lends a nice tomatoey richness to the final product. You want to scrape out every last bit of goodness with a rubber spatula, a mini spatula that you can. It's okay if you don't have a mini rubber spatula, you can just use a teaspoon and get as much as you want out of there, as much as you can out of there, until you're left with about that much. You start stirring with your wooden spoon right away. And you want it to fully assimilate with the onions and garlic. And once you start smelling the smell of roasted tomatoes in the air, that's when you know that you've got it to the right point of ready to add the next ingredient. Salt. And it helps to thicken your marinara. Alright, next up we're going to add our stewed tomatoes. Tomato masher. Stewed tomatoes, diced tomatoes. It's whatever your heart desires. Be sure to stir well after each addition. Now, if you have a garden with tomatoes in it and you can jar your own tomatoes with mason jars, and you know somebody who's into canning and you can get tomatoes, that'd be the best thing to do. But of course, you know, your local supermarket has really good canned tomato products that fit the bill just nicely. And for today's demonstration, I'm also using crushed tomatoes. As well as store tomato sauce. Okay. And you want to take one of your tomato sauce cans, the smallest one, fill it up with water. And add it to your sauce, and that will help aid in the cooking process and get it to a boil faster. And it ends up cooking off the excess water anyway during the cooking process. So now you want to crank that heat up a bit and get it to a boil. Okay, once you have it at a rolling boil, like you see here with bubbles coming up to the surface and it looks like unsavory lava ready to explode, that's when you turn it down to a simmer. Give it a good stir. And then you're going to let it stew down for about, 2.5 to 5 hours, depending on how thick you like your marinara sauce. You simmer it for about 2.5 to 5 hours, depending on your desired thickness. You want to season it with kosher salt to your desired taste, black pepper, and your favorite combination of fresh herbs or dried herbs. I like to use basil and oregano myself. When you're adding aromatics to your marinara, like basil, I like to cut it up so you have more surface area in the simmering pot to pick up more flavor. Just cut it in little strips. Take all of your basil and you add it to your sauce. Ladle over your favorite cooked pasta, and you have yourself an authentic Italian meal.